Hey guys, Steel Ovan here. Today I want to go over my favorite knife-related podcasts. So I'm a carpenter by trade, as some of you may know, and I spend a lot of time alone in the shop or with my thoughts, which is a scary place to be, let me tell you. So most of the time I wind up getting paid to listen to podcasts. And since knives are my hobby and my passion, that's where I tend to gravitate towards. So, because of this fact, I have wound up listening to most of the knife related podcasts on Spotify and on YouTube. And I feel prepared to give you guys some recommendations of my standout favorites for you guys to check out. And of course, I'll have all of these down in the description if you want to just go ahead and check those out. But I'm going to get into them starting now. So, my first recommendation is the Knife Nuts podcast, one of the OG knife-related podcasts out there. Its hosts are Levon, Dave, Jake, and Brian. Levon runs the channel and has since started doing more entrepreneurial things in the knife world, selling knives, which he imports from Russia. Brian is a super talented CNC custom knife maker. Dave is an enthusiast and super entertaining. Jake is an aspiring knife maker, I believe. Throughout the show, he is always made fun of for his shop ever, endlessly being under construction with no knives being made. But so he's an aspiring knife maker and knife modder. But overall, their show is really, really entertaining. The guys are great friends, you can tell. Lots of great banter. They have tons of awesome guests come on, super entertaining in that aspect. People, both knife makers, people in the industry, and different content creators. So it's just really entertaining. I've listened to every episode that they have made, and some of them I have listened to more than once because they're just that good. So go and check out those guys. Another really awesome podcast is the Mark of the Maker podcast. This is hosted by Mark Steiner, Michael Birch, Tom Crine, and Sean Kendrick. Mark is a engineer. He runs the Ray Gun Bead project and is the main host of the show. Michael, Tom, and Sean are both all three of them are incredibly talented custom knife makers, both in the folding world and in the fixed blade world. Their experience is really interesting to hear about, and their knowledge is very valuable. So throughout the show, they talk about all different topics. They have tons of awesome guests on. I really like they have some episodes talking about the history of knives. They have some about their experiences, developing their skills in the knife world. And also some of my favorites are they do picks for made up scenarios, what knives they would take in fantastical situations and scenarios, which I find really fun, really creative, and really like it. So overall, they just have a really, really low-key, just a bunch of friends hanging out and shooting the crap, and it's really worth a listen to. I've listened to every episode of those guys, and will continue to stay up to date on them. Another awesome podcast is the Sharp Talk podcast. This is hosted by Tiny Hands Tom, also known as Tom Hosang Outdoors on YouTube, Gerald, which is Outpost 76 on YouTube, Steve, Super Steel Steve on YouTube, and Alex, who runs the KnifeboxChannel on YouTube. So 4 YouTubers get together, shoot the crap, talk about their experience. Alex is more of a collector and is more into higher end knives and collecting side of things. Steve, Tom, and Gerald are all really into the minutia of performance around steels and knives in general, which is just really interesting to hear. I really like that portion of their podcast, especially with their experiences in that. I also like they have some awesome guests on throughout the show, which is fun, and just their discussions, their arguments over different things concerning knives is really interesting. So I've heard every episode from them, and I will continue to stay up to date. Once again, They're just one of those awesome knife channels that I really like to stay up on. So go check those guys out for sure. Another one of my favorites is the Knife Junkie podcast. This is run by Bob DeMarco, the Knife Junkie himself, and the sort of IT guy running the show behind the scenes is Jim. And together they put on a really awesome sort of TV show feeling podcast, which I really like. It's different, and I enjoy that. I really like Bob's gentlemanly manner and bearing, and I love his background. He has a background in martial arts, specifically Kali, which is a blade-related martial art, and I really like hearing, that aspect of his experience with it. He's also quite the knife collector, has some awesome blades from both history and just awesome knives in general. Tons of great guests come on his show. He's quite prolific with how many episodes he makes. So there is tons and tons of awesome content from knife makers, knife enthusiasts, etc. on his channel. So please go check him out. I have listened to just about every one of his episodes, and will continue to listen. So go and check him out on the Knife Junkie podcast. So another recommendation, technically it's not a podcast, but the Knife Guy episodes made by Metal Complex on YouTube. I listen to those like a podcast, and they work very well in that format. I think that's how he makes them and intends them. But I really enjoy the Knife Guy playlist that he has on there. I listen to them like a podcast, and I've heard pretty much every episode from him. He talks about pretty much everything that knife people in the knife hobby experience. All the similarities and all the minutiae in the hobby. And just some really interesting topics on there. Really funny topics and entertaining. So definitely go check those out if you're looking for either a fun video to watch or a podcast to listen to. The Everyday City Carry podcast is another great one. This is hosted by Ray, who's just a knife enthusiast in general, living in New York City. And he is just a really entertaining guy. Honestly, most of the content on there is not super knife related. It's a lot of life stuff. But really, it's a fun way to listen to, life and other experiences in a podcast format made by a true knife enthusiast. And I just have a lot of fun listening to that. He's maybe for the young and hip audience. I'm young, I'm maybe not hip, but I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. So definitely go and check out his podcast. And lastly is the Knife Life podcast. One of my favorites. Sadly, they have stopped making episodes for this. So it is going to be a once and done type of deal. But I've listened to every one of their episodes multiple times. Started the first one and listened through. It's really great. The hosts on there are Eugene Kwan, which has a YouTube channel on YouTube. It's run by Frank, which is Dr. Frunky on YouTube. There's Charlie is one of the original guys. He's on Instagram and whatnot, and Mike, which is Bloomin' Blade on Instagram. So really just 4 awesome knife enthusiasts. They have tons of great guests on. They talk about sort of their progression through the knives. Just great enthusiast content. They talk about blade show, custom knives, and it's really entertaining. And I got a lot of enjoyment out of those episodes. And I'm sad that they're not making them anymore, but it is what it is. All good things must come to an end. So definitely go and listen through the Knife Life podcast. So to wrap things up, I just wanted to say, definitely go check out all of these guys, and hopefully they can bring you guys as much enjoyment and entertainment as they have me. They've given me hundreds and hundreds of hours of free entertainment, and I've enjoyed it immensely. So hopefully you guys get a chance to go check out at least some of these. And I figured to end things, I would wrap up. You guys probably know what most of these knives are, but I'll go through them for those who don't. Hinder XM18, custom fixed blade by me. This is ZT 470. Maximate Paramilitary 2, Emerson Sheepdog, custom Tough Knives Corsair, and a ProTech Malibu. So I hope you guys liked this video, and hopefully it was helpful, gave you guys some more great content to check out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.